Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Kwantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. And Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to the Assam devotees. All glories to Kwantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimadiriyed. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatyuttama shloke Bhakti bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil. And loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 8th day of May 2023 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in the final verse of chapter 11 of Canto 6, which is entitled Prescribed Duties for Mankind. This chapter is called The Transcendental Qualities of Vṛtrāsura. And we're on text 27. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmataha swakarmibhi tvan mayayatmatmaja dara geheshu asakta chittasya na natabhuyat mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmatak swakarmibhi tvan mayayatmatmajadara gehesh vasakta chittasya nanata vasakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. All right, so we'll do geheshu. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmatak swakarmibhi tvan mayayatmatmajadara geheshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmatak swakarmibhi tvan mayayatmatmajadara geheshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmatak swakarmabhihi yatmatmajadara desheshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmatak swakarmabhihi tvan mayayatmatmajadara geheshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam sangsara chakre brahmatak swakarmabhihi tvan mayayatmatmajadara geheshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. Mama, my, uttama shloka janeshu, among the devotees who are simply attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sakyam, friendship. Sangsara chakre, in the cycle of birth and death. Brahmataha, who am wandering. Swakarma bihi, by the results of my own fruitive activities. Tvat mayaya, by your external energy. Atma, to the body. Atmaja, children. Dara, wife. Geheshu, and home. Asakta, attached. Chittasya, whose mind. Na, not. Nata, O my Lord. Bhuyat, may there be. Translation, the Vṛtrāsura praying to the Lord. O my Lord, my Master, I am wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy. But I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 6th canto, 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Transcendental Qualities of Vṛtrāsura. I'm sorry? You learn something every day. All right, so we'll begin the next chapter, chapter 12 of 6th canto, entitled Vṛtrāsura's Glorious Death. This chapter describes how Indra, the king of heaven, killed Vṛtrāsura despite great reluctance. After Vṛtrāsura finished speaking, he released his trident against King Indra with great anger. But Indra, using his thunderbolt, which was many times more powerful than the trident, broke the trident to pieces and cut off one of Vṛtrāsura's arms. Nevertheless, Vṛtrāsura used his remaining arm to strike Indra with an iron mace, making the thunderbolt fall from Indra's hand. Indra, being very ashamed of this, did not pick up the thunderbolt from the ground. But Vṛtrāsura encouraged King Indra to pick it up and fight. Vṛtrāsura then spoke to King Indra as follows, instructing him very well. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, is the cause of victory and defeat. Not knowing that the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes, fools and rascals try to take credit for victory or defeat themselves, but everything is actually under the control of the Lord. No one but him has any independence. The Purusha, the enjoyer, and Prakriti, the enjoyed, are under the control of the Lord. For it is by his supervision that everything works systematically. Not seeing the hand of the Supreme in every action, a fool considers himself the ruler and controller of everything. When one understands, however, that the real controller is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is freed from the relativities of the world, such as distress, happiness, fear, and impurity. Close quote. Thus Indra and Vṛtrāsura not only fought, but also engaged in philosophical discourses. Then they began to fight again. This time Indra was more powerful, and he severed Vṛtrāsura's remaining arm. Vṛtrāsura then assumed a gigantic form, I guess a more gigantic form, he's already gigantic, and swallowed King Indra. But Indra, being protected by the talisman known as the Narayana Kavacha, was able to protect himself even within Vṛtrāsura's body. Thus he emerged from Vṛtrāsura's abdomen and severed the demon's head from his body with his powerful thunderbolt. Severing the demon's head took 1 complete year to accomplish. All right, text 1. I'll chant it myself. Shri Rishiruvacha. This is the only place I remember in the Bhagavatam where Shukadeva is referred to as a rishi. He certainly is a rishi. Evam jihasor nipadeham ajao mityam varam vijayan manyamanaha shulam pragriya vyapatat surendram yata maha purusham kaitabo psu. Translation. Shukadeva Goswami said, desiring to give up his body, Vṛtrāsura considered death in the battle preferable to victory. O King Parikshit, he vigorously took up his trident and with great force attacked Lord Indra. So of course, we read the summary before. He's already got his arms cut off, but now we're going back a little bit and he's throwing his trident. He took up his trident and with great force attacked Lord Indra, the king of heaven, just as Kaitaba had forcefully attacked the Supreme Personality of Godhead when the universe was inundated. Excuse me. Purport. Although Vṛtrāsura repeatedly encouraged Indra to kill him with the thunderbolt, King Indra was morose at having to kill such a great devotee, and was hesitant to throw it. Vṛtrāsura, disappointed that King Indra was reluctant despite his encouragement, took the initiative very forcefully by throwing his trident at Indra. Vṛtrāsura was not at all interested in victory. He was interested in being killed so that he could immediately return home back to Godhead. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Tuktva deham punarjanma naiti. After giving up his body, a devotee immediately returns to Lord Krishna and never returns to accept another body. This was Vṛtrāsura's interest. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, it's kind of an unusual situation. You have this huge demon, who's not really a demon, who was invoked by Tvashta to kill Indra, but who doesn't want to kill Indra. He wants to be killed by Indra. So the whole thing is an interesting plot twist. And you can ask, well, who really wins here? Vṛtrāsura wins. Vṛtrāsura wins because Chitraketu has been cursed to become a demon. So the curse was fulfilled almost. He was not really a demon, although he looks like one, acts like one, more or less. But he's really, because Chitraketu is the soul inside, he's really a devotee in the guise of a demon. So, now it's interesting that in the previous chapter, remember, he seemed to, lose his character as a devotee and become a real demon. He was trampling down the demigods, and he was furious because Indra wasn't fighting. But in general, that provocation, acting like a demon, was going to be his salvation, because then Indra would actually fight him. If Vṛtrāsura had bowed down to Indra, he wasn't going to be killed. He's going to be, then he'd be, you don't kill someone who bows down, So he had to fight, and he knew that because Indra was empowered with the Narayana Kavacha, that he wouldn't be killed. But he was so huge and so powerful that he knocked Indra's the thunderbolt out of his hand. Dropping the weapon is a big deal. When Arjuna dropped the bow on the chariot out of his paralysis, this was like, because I think in the Mahabharata, I'm not so familiar with it, but that Arjuna said, anyone who even suggests that I put my bow down, I'm going to kill him. In other words, it's a big deal to put your weapon down. What to speak of drop it, So when Vṛtrāsura responded to Indra's attack, right? Vṛtrāsura threw his trident. Indra destroyed it with his thunderbolt, which had been empowered by the bones of Didichi, also known as Dadyancha. That in itself was a far-out pastime. It's like the great devotees, either they want to give up their body to go back to Godhead, or they donate their body for a higher cause. They're not attached, the greatest devotees. So Indra had this powerful thunderbolt that was actually stronger than the trident, and he destroyed that trident, and then he cut off one of Vṛtrāsura's arms. But then Vṛtrāsura, he knocked out he dropped the thunderbolt at one point by the counterattack, and so he was ashamed. He didn't want to pick it up again. And then so Vṛtrāsura said, pick it up, come on, because he didn't want to win. He wanted to be killed. So this is going on, and then there's this incredible scene. He cuts off the other arm. Now what is he going to do? He swallows him up. Now, normally that's fatal, right? I think that's, but Indra was protected by the Narayana Kavacha. So it doesn't exactly describe it here, but he cut himself out of that and to get out, So it's a kind of a gruesome scene. He's got no arms, he's bleeding out, and then he's just lying there, and then Indra cuts his head off. He doesn't exactly cut it off. He saws it off for a whole year, which is pretty amazing. And that's the end. That's Vṛtrāsura. Then Chitraketu goes back to God. He's freed from this body. So, and his prayers, he revealed himself in those prayers, those beautiful prayers at the end of the previous chapter. The first one, and it's interesting because he's also, he wanted to just get association of the devotees. Remember that? That was the first prayer. Aham hare tava paraika mula dasanu dasam babadasmi bhuya. Manaksmaneta supatangvanesha Manaksmareta asupatang gunecha grihita karma karotikaya. So he's saying, my dear Lord, when may I again? There's actually no question there. There's a misediting on it, what you read. It's not a big deal, but I showed it to Vijay. It's not, will I again be able to be, may I again? May I again? In other words, he's expressing his strong wish to have it happen. May I again become the servant of your great servants. What's the advantage? Because then I'll be able to hear Krishna Katha, I'll be in the association of devotees. And what's the result? My mind will always think of your qualities and your pastimes, right? My voice will always glorify you. And my body will always serve your purpose. In other words, I'll join the Hare Krishnas. I'll get trained up so that the senses, mind, intelligence are gradually used in the service. So he's already a great devotee, but he's still hankering for that association, how valuable that is. Now this brought to mind a verse that appears, more or less 3 times in the Bhagavatam with slight variation. You may be familiar with this verse. Tulyama lavenapi naswargam napadarbhavan bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kamatashaha. Tulyama lavenapi, even a moment's association. Now, and then this word is important. A Bhagavat Sangi, some pure devotee who's always associating with the Lord, right? Within the mind, is always feels that he's with the Lord at every moment. So Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya, the association of such an associate of the Lord, even the moments of that association, is far more valuable, and he gives several things. Naswargam, going to heaven. Apunar bhavam. Come on, Margo, what does that mean? Apunar bhavam. Yeah, liberation, not coming back again. Take birth. Naswargam, Bhagavat Sangi Sangasa, Martyanam Kamanta. What to speak of benedictions like going to heaven or getting anything material that are destroyed by time. In other words, it's just like Lord Chaitanya's prayer, isn't it? Nadanang nadanang nasundarim kavitang vajagadishika. He gives a list, and then he also implies even liberation. I don't want followers. I don't want money. I don't want a beautiful wife. And that also by some of the acharyas, I think even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, sometimes that sunnadim goes with kavitam as an adjective. Beautiful or exalted erudition. Because that's one of the opposites. Janmashaya Shuta Shibir. The Shuta, So he doesn't want that. What does he want? Ahoitiki. I want your bhakti. I want your uninterrupted and unmotivated devotional service forever. That's the prayer of the pure devotees. And so this is Vṛtrāsura. He's really, Chitraketu, he's saying, just let me get out of this body and, get back with your devotees and glorification of you. So that's very, very illuminating. And that's who he really is. But in order to do that, he needs to get free of this demonic body. And his way of doing that is getting killed by Indra. Now it's interesting as we go through this pastime, as it turns out, because I read ahead, reminding me of it. And that is that after he finally kills Vṛtrāsura, and Vṛtrāsura goes back to Godhead, so there's Indra, but he's not congratulated by the demigods. They're shunning him because he's killed another Brahmin. There's a number 2. He killed Vishwarup. Now he's killing his brother, right? Because he was invoked by Trust. Trust is the father. So now what? And you'll see that Indra has to suffer. He doesn't so much suffer the sinful reactions as he kind of escapes from them, but he has to stay underwater for like 1,000 years or something. That's his reward, breathing through a straw. Vṛtrāsura is back to Godhead. So who won? So it's a very instructive, and the backstory, we're going to hear all about Chitraketu and how he became purified. He was so attached to, he had his thousands of wives, millions of wives. No one could get pregnant. Finally, he gets the benediction and he gives it to his favorite wife. She gets pregnant, has a son. He's so happy to have the son, But he ignores the other wives. They become envious. They kill the son. Oh, God. So he's devastated by that. And in that devastated condition, Narada comes back, brings the son back to life, just like Lord Chaitanya did with Srivasa's son who died during the kirtan. Oh, no shoes. I'm sorry. No shoes. Yeah. And so he's enlightened. He's given a mantra by Narada to chant, and in a few days he gets darshan. Becomes pure, renounces everything. So it's quite a lesson, and there's many sub lessons here. So what does Prabhupada say? So Vṛtrāsura was disappointed that King Indra was reluctant to fight him and kill him. So he took the initiative by throwing his trident at Indra. Vṛtrāsura was not interested in victory. He was interested in being killed so he could immediately return to Godhead. And Prabhupada cites 4.9. Now 4.9 is Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sojana. One who understands the divine nature of my birth and activities in truth, upon giving up the body, the material body doesn't return here but comes back to me. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sojana. So this is one of the many verses in the Bhagavad Gita promising return back to Godhead by becoming fully Krishna conscious and surrendering to Krishna. That's the whole purpose of it. And be in the association, only in the association of devotees, and by hearing from pure devotees and reading the Bhagavad Purana as given by the pure devotee, can you purify your aim in life. Because otherwise it's going to be some variety of sense gratification. It may be in the mode of goodness. It may be, okay, I want to live a very peaceful life out in the country, vegan, whatever it may be, I don't know. But that's not going to help, ultimately. You're also going to die, and if you're lucky, you'll come back and be again in the mode of goodness family. But in this age, you don't know what's going to happen. Because everything's mixed. You're in the mode of goodness, but you have one vice that you're indulging in. It's hopeless. The only path, auspicious path, is the path of liberation, and not in personal liberation, but liberation that ensues from bhakti. It means that using this senses, mind, intelligence, everything you have, for the service of the Lord, so that your consciousness is saturated with thoughts of Krishna. Because at any moment, it can be the end. There's this one verse in the Kevalashtaka, 8 verses about the holy name. I'll spare you the Sanskrit. Remember that our final breath may come at any time. No matter if we're old and sick, or we're in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name, the holy name, incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Now how can we say the holy name of Shri Hari is all that be? Because Krishna is everything, isn't he? He's here, what here is not Krishna? Of course we're living in a temple where things are directly Krishna, but it's all his energy. Even if you walk down to the beach, go anywhere, it's Krishna's energy. The pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, because he sees it's all his energy. And there's a super soul in everything. And within and without. But that vision, that consciousness can only be expressed or achieved when we're not trying to exploit Krishna's energy for our own pleasure. That's separatist mentality. As soon as that's there, then you forget Krishna. How can you think, yes, Krishna owns everything, he's the supreme enjoyer, and at the same time take it? You see what I'm saying? For your own enjoyment. There has to be that forgetfulness, which is what Krishna does. That's Maya. That's Maya's function. So we've been forgetting for millions and millions of births. This is the birth that, if we're intelligent, will cultivate remembrance of Krishna. And this is one of the main means, hearing these pastimes of great devotees who have so much difficulty, right? like Chitriketu with Vṛtrāsura and all this. But ultimately come out successful, because no matter what, they never give up that aspiration for associated with devotees, serving the Lord. It's not easy to attain, because we're so many millennia of births cultivating, the material desires. That's what conditioning means. We're conditioned. But in this age, we're very fortunate that Krishna has come, seeing the disqualification of the Kali Yugites. What is it? Prayen alpayesh aksabhya kalavasmin yuge jana Manda, sumanda matayo. Manda bhagya, you put it in. Why is manda? Three times appears in that verse. Manda means, weak, lazy, misguided. So prayena means, for the most part, almost easy. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It's okay, but just don't sit with your back to just a little. That's better. Thanks. So for the most part, you don't live very long in this age. 100 years is not very long, and hardly anyone lives 100 years. In previous age, just one age back, 1,000 years, 10,000, 100,000. So that's the first thing. You don't have many years to play with. Manda, they're lazy. People are lazy in the matter of spiritual life. We distribute all these books, but the distributors, it's a small percentage of people are interested. Many people are just shine you on, And even if they get the book, if they actually read it, there's many stories like that. That's how we became devotees. But compared to the millions and millions of people who are absorbed in this particular website or this particular conspiracy theory or a million different things. This is Shukadeva Goswami was saying this 5,000 years ago. There are thousands of things to hear besides Krishna Katha, for the materialists. And then what is he? He gives us a summary of material life in 3 verses. Nidra rete naktam vivayena chabhavayak divachartahe rajan kutumba bananenava. At nighttime, these materialists, they're just sleeping too much or having sex, and just trying to enjoy. And during the day, working very hard for money. Why? So they can shop on the weekend to support the kutumba. The wives, the kids, the house, the household, And in those days, it was extended family. Oh, I got my aunts and uncles living here and my brother-in-law. So that's life. With various varieties, modern amenities, but it comes out to the same thing. So then you have to have some defense, because it's a difficult world. There's so many dangers. So therefore you need your soldiers, right? Beginning with a strong body. So many... they know who you are, what your age is, So every day I get notices and I get an email from WebMD. There's this new anti-aging serum that you can get, If your muscles are wasting away, you should do some exercise. They give you, they know who I am, So that's not going to help you. That's a false. That's part of Maya's thing that. Oh, I can, they even think they can live forever. It's coming up now. Yeah, we almost solved the problem of the degeneration of the cells. Great. How about the bombs that are going to fall on your head? That's also can kill you. Anyway, so he's describing, first the Biden, Deha Patya, then the children, sons, they can help you. Kalata, the wife, they can, make a fortress, can help. Adishu, etc., your relatives, your bank account, your life insurance, your guns. A lot of people have a lot of guns. There's more guns than people in America. But does anyone here have a gun? And a lot of people don't have any guns. That means there's a whole bunch of people with huge armories. I have a friend, I'm not going to name his name, who has a bunch of guns. That's an illusion that's, for most people, it's a defensive weapon. Well, everyone else has guns. I have to have guns too, otherwise I'm in danger. So it's like a disease. But what could be a grander illusion than that? That the guns will save you. So this is the age we live in, and the main thing is they're not seeing. This phrase "pasyan up in the pashyati" comes up a few times in the Bhagavatam. Although seeing physically, they don't really see. They don't understand the implication. In previous lives, all of these so-called soldiers, called probably infallible soldiers, people have relied on them, and they failed in every instance. Your children die. Your mother, your wife goes. Your money is you leave that behind. Nothing can defend you against the force of time. Krishna says in the 11th canto, as time I am, destroyer of everything. Mrityu sarvaharashchaham. One of the most important statements in Bhagavad Gita. As death, I take everything away. So everyone sees God ultimately. So all that you're striving to get, to be established, your name, your fame, your money, your position, whatever it is, beauty, it's all taken away. Before death, or at least at death. So what's the point? It's a fool's errand. You know, as Maharaj loves to say in his class, you know, you're investing your time, your energy, your hopes, asha. What is Krishna? Asha, pasha, buddha. By thousands of material desires, the demons are bound up to this world. So this seeing the reality, the truth of that, is the first step, and seeing the urgency of directing our energy toward becoming Krishna conscious and giving Krishna consciousness to others, because time is wasting. I can tell you, I don't think it's just getting older. I think it's also being in Krishna consciousness. That time goes faster. In any case, my time is almost up. You know, what can I do? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I can keep saying it. Huh? Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I'd rather join Vṛtrāsura here. Come on, take me. The point is, it doesn't matter. If you're Krishna conscious, live or die, it's the same. You're still, you know, if you're really developed, you're serving Krishna in any capacity. So this is, you know, in every case, you'll know every pastime ends up with a Krishna conscious conclusion in the Bhagavatam. That's the whole point of the Bhagavatam, right? What has that verse been chanted? That, you know, Vyasadeva had written all the other Puranas, he'd written the Mahabharata, he'd written the Upanishads, everything, Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of the philosophy, and yet he was still not satisfied. What happened? You know? So in his dissatisfaction, Narada Muni comes to him, and he says, you have hardly even glorified Lord Krishna and his pastimes. Not that he didn't glorify it, there's a whole Mahabharata, some of the other Puranas, Padma Purana has it. But a Purana that deals wholly and solely with pure devotion. Dharma projita gaita vota paramodimata. All cheating religions kicked out, and this Purana deals with you know, pure devotional service, and it contains such great detail, Krishna's all attractive pastimes. You don't have that in any other Purana. Little detailed description of the rasa dance, you're not going to find that. So this was, so he said, just meditate, and Krishna will reveal to you his pastime, and then you can write it down. And then there's that important section, I think in the 6th chapter, where he sits down in meditation. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak panhite yamale apashat purusam purnam mayam cha tadapashayam. So what did he see in his bhakti yoga meditation? He saw Krishna there. He saw Krishna, but he saw Maya behind him, under his shelter, so to speak. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam parotmanato natam yati chachavi padyate. That by that Maya, yaya sammohito jiva, all the jivas in this material world are bewildered. Atmanam trigunat, although they are by nature transcendental to the gunas, they identify with the material body, and therefore they're suffering. Anartha, so many unwanted things, birth, old age, disease, and death. Anarthopasamam shakshat bhakti yoga manhokshaje. But bhakti yoga to adhokshaja, the same word that's used in the 2nd chapter of that famous, you know, that Sabai Pungsang Parodharma, bhakti yoga manhokshaja. Why? Because when you're beginning this word adhokshaja means the transcendent Lord. There's no details, it's not about Gopal, and it's not a Vrindavan name. But it's the first understanding of the Supreme, that being who's beyond the reach of my mind and senses, but who I'm convinced exists, and who I have to learn more about. So it says, Yaya samo dejiva atman anartopasamam sakshat bhakti yoga manhokshaje. These anartas, these misconceptions, this attachments, this bewilderment, this all of these threefold miseries, all of those are anartas, things that we don't want. They're upushamam. They can be completely eradicated. Sakshat bhakti, by direct devotional service to the transcendent Lord. But people don't know. Lokasya janato. Vidbang chakri satvatatamvita. People don't know that in this Kali Yuga. You see, we should try to get some of that sense of urgency that the sages at Naimisharanya had, that Vyasadeva had, that Shukadeva had. These people, the Kali Yuga, they're suffering so much, and they're going to suffer more unless we arrange for their enlightenment about Bhakti Yoga directly to Krishna. That's the whole mission. And so Vyasadeva then is enlightened. Okay, I have to write the Bhagavatam, you know. And then the result of that is by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, then devotion naturally awakens in the heart because it's our nature. This is what's so wonderful. We already have the pure nature in our heart. It's just covered. It's just a question of purification, uncovering what's already there. It's not something alien. Everyone every living entity is a devotee, even these insects and dogs and cats. But only human beings can be benefited. So that's the Bhagavatam has so many accounts like this, or stories of different ways in which we ultimately get to the same point. And this one is very memorable when you read it. The prayers are memorable. The pastime is very memorable, and it's inspiring because here you have someone who is so determined. Chitraketu, he was cursed. He was covered over. He takes his demonic body, you know. I mean, he could have get very depressed and taken to drugs or drink, you know, what's happened to me. But he took advantage of it, of the situation. And he induced Indra to kill him and really liberate him from that demonic body and send him back to Godhead. Okay, any questions, comments on this beginning of the glorious departure of Vṛtrāsura? I'm sorry? Yeah, look, go ahead.
I forgot to mention yesterday that atheistic scientist, he was asking about God, and I said, oh, you're misusing your intelligence. Your intelligence is stolen by illusion. And he said, what? And then anyway, towards the end, after he got a book, he said, do you think, he said, if I really want to believe in God, will he give me the intelligence to know him? Something like that. I said, yeah.
You should keep notes, you know, write these memoirs, because these memoirs of yours should make a nice book. Very inspiring, thank you. Anyone else?
It's a bit of a detail, but after this particular chapter, is this pastime pretty much ending? He leaves and then, but I guess the next one's Chitraketu, right? It gives,
yeah.
like,
you get the
background.
backstory. You get the backstory.
Okay.
Yeah, there's several chapters of that, which is also, you know, really dramatic. I mean, Chitraketu, because his son, he finally got a son, you know, after, I don't know how long he had all these wives. And naturally, his wife, favorite wife who had the child, is now getting all the attention. And the other wives go nuts. They're completely envious, and they murder the kid. Oh. You know, and Chitraketu goes nuts. You'll see he's staggering through the halls of the palace, you know. It's very dramatic. I wanted to point one thing out. I was really sorry I missed last Friday's class, which I think Vijay gave. And it was the first of his prayers, the one I cited. And when I saw it on the board, I thought it was of today's class, but that was yesterday's. And I saw it on Saturday. So, the translation that we have, and we have had for all these years, O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant, so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in loving service of your Lordship? It's two questions, but there's really no question in the Sanskrit. And there was no question, Prabhupada didn't put any question marks in, and he didn't say, will I again be able to? He said, may I again. So it's all, because may, you know, it's like, may I use the bathroom? You know, that's one thing. But this is the use of may, May I again be able to be a servant. You see, you can get it in the nuance of the voice. Oh my Lord, oh Supreme Personality of God. This is what Prabhupada wrote. May I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet. In other words, he's aspiring for that. He's not asking for the lotus. And the same thing. Oh Lord of my life, may I again become their servant, so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in your loving service of your Lordship. It's a slight different emphasis, which I would have mentioned if I was here, but since I got a chance now, I'll do it. This is what I live for, to find these little discrepancies. Hare Krishna. All right.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, a wonderful class and wonderful meditation to do on this chapter. Haribol.
Haribol. Were you here on last Thursday?
No, Prabhu, I'm coming on June 1st.
Okay. Are you out of town somewhere? Are you like in India or something?
Yes, I'm in San Francisco with my daughter, helping her.
Oh, okay,
baby.
okay, because I thought maybe you were ill or something. It's always nice to hear from you.
Thank you, Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, a quick question.
Maitreya, go ahead.
Haribol, other Puranas and Shastras mentioned when they talk about the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's one of its unique qualities is this story of Vṛtrāsura,
Right.
which is apparently told elsewhere, but in the Bhagavatam has a singular focus on devotion. I was hoping you could maybe say a couple words about that.
I couldn't probably say more than what you just said, because I've never read the story in the other Puranas. But it's interesting that, because the Bhagavatam is not going to tell a whole story that doesn't have a bhakti point to it. Everything you see, it comes out. So it's interesting that they reveal this aspect of the story that's obviously kind of confidential. I mean, just hearing about this big demon being killed by Indra, you'd never guess that he was a great devotee inside. And I think in the other Puranas, I would assume that they don't have these prayers because the prayers give it away. The one that really gets me is the one, just like a little bird outside. Here's this huge demon and he's comparing himself to this little tiny bird outside or the calf. It's such a contrast that I would wager 5 glubjaments that there's there's no revelation of those prayers in the other accounts, which would kind of, what is this all about? So Prabhu, I'm sorry I don't have anything to add, but thank you for reminding us of that.
That's all right. Thank you for the 5 glubjamin challenge.
Yeah, I'll have to pay you up. So I'm going to end on a little sweet little verse from Vrindavan. I just reminded of it this morning. Uradi kutamuradi rutabangam navajaladadikidanoda sadangam yuvati vadayatatamananatadangam panamatiyamanatatikatadangam. His flute emanates entrancing sounds for the cowherd girls whose love abounds for the clever cloud-complexioned lord who's dancing upon the Kalindi shore. So, isn't it nice to be worshipping Radha Giridhari so that those verses become attracted? Maybe I can, if you're thinking, I want to get liberation, merge into the Brahman, yeah, you'll be attracted by that. Or let me go to heaven, and enjoy it. But devotees can. It's just the beauty of the expression of glorification is one of the greatest things, And that verse that Maharaj cited, which is in the Pajabali, which is compiled by Rupa Goswami, but it's actually composed by Ramananda Roy. I'm going to write him a little note about that. And it's all depending on your desire. This Krishna Bhakti Dasa Bhavita, which Prabhupada explains, this is the source of this phrase. We know about, everyone knows this, right? Krishna consciousness. That phrase came out of this verse. Krishna Bhakti Dasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yadikutopi Labhyate. That Krishna Bhakti is Bhavatam, which means your mind absorbed in Krishna Bhakti Rasa, which is what Krishna consciousness really means. You should try to buy it. If you can buy it and find it in the marketplace and buy it. But you have to have the price, which is laulium, which is this powerful longing known as greed. You may engage in thousands of bursts of pious activity, but you're not going to get it. You won't get the lalyam and you won't get the bhakti. So the only way to get that is by associating those who have that lalyam. And our best way of associating is reading Prabhupada's books. He's a great devotee that we always have. And those who distribute those books, everything is open for them. Thank you. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.